Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to today is Tuesday, March 24th. Yesterday, again, another red day, but we are seeing green this morning. Let me just show you my screen, what I'm looking at today. Much better than what we saw yesterday, that's for sure, and even last week. So looking forward to that and looking forward to moving forward, and hopefully we'll have a good day today. Of course, a lot of this is dependent upon what happens in Congress and whether or not they can get their act together. That's yet to be seen. So looking forward to my conversation with Dave today. You know, not much in the way of earnings, but I'm sure that we will come up with something to talk about here in just a minute. You'll notice I am working from home today, or at least this morning anyway. Why? Because we've had trades to place. You know, a lot of folks out there have a bunch of individual mutual funds or stocks, but they don't really have a portfolio. A portfolio is managed and adjusted when times like this start to happen. And so we are taking more risk off the table, creating more cash for our clients. So that's one of the things I think that's vitally important is that we have some type of plan in place, even when we have such losses that we've seen here in the marketplace lately. We'll talk a little bit more about that with Dave here in just a minute.
7. Hi, Stavra Levine there. Good morning. I am glad you're here today. And boy, oh boy, I see a little bit of green on the futures. I think that's green. It's been so long since I've seen that color, I'm not 100% sure. Let's double check and see whether or not the financial world is actually a little optimistic today. Downtown we go to the offices of Statler Financial Services, where Phillip Statler has been busily working at home this morning on behalf of his clients, and he's on the line now. Phillip, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. Yeah, I started about an hour and a half ago making some changes in portfolios. We're moving a little bit more, taking a little bit more risk off the table, raising a little bit more cash, and so, you know, actually doing something for our clients.
Understood. And that's something early in the morning when your advisor's doing it. That's a good and hopeful sign. Glad to have you here this morning, and it's kind of interesting. We're actually looking at green this morning. Yesterday, we were down 582 points on the Dow, down 18 points on the NASDAQ, and down 67 on the S&P, which is a tragic thought. That's almost a nothing day relative to what we have been enduring for the last few. Analysts were saying that was because of cynicism and frustration over the fact that Congress can't seem to come to an agreement on a stimulus package, and it sounds like the optimism is turning this morning a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, Dave. You're right. You know, if you think about it, yesterday, this time, we were not quite in the same boat. I mean, everything was green, but, you know, it faded quickly because those guys up there in Washington couldn't get their act together and pass something. And so once they tried a second time, and I think maybe even tried a third time, then you really started to see the market tank later in the day because of that. And hopefully we're seeing green this morning because of the opposite, right? There's optimism now that maybe those guys up there will get their act together and pass something that are going to help the people you know, get through and weather this coronavirus.
Understood. Trying to put the conflict in as nonpartisan terms as I humanly can. The Democratic proposal out of the House has more coverage for more people with more money coming out in terms of actual cash out. But the Democrats included a few things in their bells and whistles that they wanted within their agenda, including green requirements on the airlines, a $15 minimum wage, and, oh yes, automatic instantaneous registration and early voting requirements placed on the state, which don't have a whole heck of a lot to do with the problems we're having with the coronavirus. That's that problem. The Republican proposal, on the other hand, is a little heavier on the corporate bailout, a little bit tougher as far as individual family help is concerned, but doesn't have any of the bells and whistles and social projects on it. The two sides have been going back and forth. You and I both kind of figure that the Democratic proposal might be a little bit better across the masses, but at the same time, the social networking on it and the social tinkering has an issue as well. And Congress does this all the time. When there's something that's got a really big groundswell of support, somebody insists upon adding extra Christmas ornaments on it that end up causing problems, right?
Well, you're right. I mean, I've looked at both of them, and I do tell you, if you could strip out all the crap, if I can say that on the radio, that's in the Democratic proposal.
Yeah, let's stay nonpartisan. Call it the extras. How's that?
The extras, it would be I think it would be more beneficial from a financial standpoint in helping the people. Actually, the Democratic proposal even has more stuff for small businesses than the Republican process does. I mean, they do a lot of corporate stuff, but at least on the front side, looking at it. But you're right; they've got all that other stuff in there that messes up that bill. And if they would just get out of their own way, both parties get out of their own way and do what's right for the American people and get something passed, that would go a long way to helping us out.
Absolutely. And it's a nonpartisan frustration because folks remember budget busting bills and debt extensions. The Republicans would periodically hang anti-abortion things on there and other social things that was important to them. So it's something both sides are guilty of. But it looks, judging by the futures market, that some guys that are pretty well plugged in are thinking that they're going to bust the logjam and do something today, aren't they?
Well, that's what it's looking like. We'll have to wait and see if they really can get their act together up there.
And we can always cross our fingers down the line. There really isn't a lot of macro stuff that's going on today to affect that. Basically, as I went through the news ticker, I got a whole bunch more stock issues that are pulling their guidance and laying off home office staff and whatnot. I got to tell you, I am not looking forward to the first-time unemployment claim report coming out on Thursday morning. Are you?
No, it's going to be, I feel like it's going to be a pretty big number. It'd be interesting. I don't even think anybody's even putting estimates out there yet as to what they think it's going to be. That would be, nope, don't have any estimates yet. So that would be interesting too, to see what people think is going to happen. But we are seeing, you're right, a lot of guidance being pulled. We're seeing a lot of upgrades and downgrades. Gilead Science, one of the pharmaceutical companies and drug makers, did win approval of orphan drug status on one of their experimental drugs for the coronavirus. So you have to wait and see how that works out.
It'll be interesting to see what goes on. I'm looking at pre-market winners and losers, kind of interesting. Toward the top of my big winners and losers list on the winners side is Live Nation Entertainment, the people that book concerts all over the country. Suddenly they're going up. There's got to be a dead cat bounce on that somewhere, wouldn't you think?
Somewhere. They probably think maybe it's kind of hit the bottom, maybe.
There's sure no reason to look at buying a concert company right now.
No, I would think not, though. I think it was Mark Cuban said that he was looking at that one and putting some money in there when it was dropping.
That's it. There's a lot of bargains that are out there with the market down by 30-odd%. A good investor with spare cash to spend, and you've mentioned this before, if somebody were young, talking about in their 40s, with 20 years before a need to retire, this is the perfect time to put some cash into equities.
It is, and being specific, you need to know which ones to buy. I mean, there are going to be ones you shouldn't be buying right now, and so there's where you need somebody that's going to do the research or do your own research and figure out what makes sense to you. Obviously, staples would make it as a whole because those are going to always be around, those type of companies. Hey, I just get a ticker across my screen. The Japanese Prime Minister has come to an agreement to postpone the 2020 Olympics, which we all felt was kind of have to happen based on where we are today.
That was kind of called a lead pipe cinch to begin with, but the decision has actually been made. And that's going to be not good for a lot of media companies, I know, because a whole lot of revenue is going to get put off to next year off of that. So expect some shuffling in the media sector, I'd imagine.
Well, I think so. I did see some headlines that like ABC and ESPN had already taken that out of their budget. They already figured that, hey, with everything else being canceled, that wasn't going to happen either this year.
So NBC is the only one really popping Tums over this one at the moment.
Yeah.
Are there any reports that are out this morning that we can talk about that would give us any bright spots or indications as to where they're coming? I know Nike was due to report, but I haven't seen them come out.
I have not seen anything this morning really hit the wire. As you and I have talked, there's really nothing coming out. I'm trying to think if they come out before or after the market today.
I couldn't figure that out. It was kind of interesting on them simply on supply chain questions for guidance, since so much of their stuff comes out of the Asian markets. I was kind of curious whether their guidance on supply chain information was going to happen.
Nike comes out after the market closes today, so they'll report later today.
All right, that'll give us something to watch for tomorrow. As I said, nobody expects the reports to mean a whole lot, but at the very least, indications from company like that with the supply chain guidance information might help us a little bit down the line. Resetting the table for the morning, yesterday, as mentioned, Dow was down by about 3%, NASDAQ down by only 0.25%, and the Standard & Poor's was down by about 2.9%. Optimism this morning, as we were alluding to, Phillip, how optimistic are we 45 minutes early?
Hey, I'm going to say we are getting close to the circuit breaker again this morning. We've already hit it once going up, and so right now we're up a little over 4.5%, $848 on the Dow. About 4.5% on the S&P 500, up $100, and 4.5% on the NASDAQ, up 309. So everything's looking kind of rosy on that side of the table. If we go over and look at gold and silver, gold and silver getting huge increases this morning.
Wow! Yeah.
Silver's up 6.3% to over $14 an ounce. And we've got gold up 6.6% to $1,671 an ounce. So big moves there in precious metals. And we've got crude oil heading up 2.75% to $24 a barrel.
Do you know if somebody's crying uncle between that gas war between Saudi Arabia and Russia? Is that bringing it up?
I haven't seen the reason.
It's a pretty substantial change. I wonder if something's going on. I'm going to have to do a little homework. Overseas markets, Asia generally traded up, and some of the markets substantially this morning. Europe kind of following suit on us. Those markets are up between 3% and 5% this morning. Let's call it volatility on the upside this morning. Phillip, it's one of those times where good advice is always welcome, and we alluded to it earlier. Even if you're seeing this as a buying signal, guidance as to what to buy counts. And if you're close to retirement, all of this stuff requires a whole different set of books. How do I get a hold of you to make an appointment?
Dave, give us a call at 863-382-0037. Let us look and see how much risk you have in your current portfolio and do a financial x-ray. And then check our website out, statlerfinancial.com, and then join us every weekend for the Statler Financial radio show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Sunday mornings. Hey, the other thing we got special coming up Saturday, Dave, is we're going to do a virtual Ask Phillip Anything. Folks can go to my Facebook page at Statler Financial Services, like us, follow us. We will post information there as to how to access that Ask Phillip Anything at that point in time. Give people an opportunity to ask questions and express concerns of where we are and what's happening.
I know that's one of your most popular face-to-face opportunities. I'm glad you're doing it in the virtual world this time, because I know people look forward to the Ask Phillip Anything sessions.
Yeah, we did one last Saturday, sent out a note to all my clients and tax clients and everybody, and we did. We had a nice little group there.
All righty. Do appreciate it, my friend. Let's cross our fingers the green ink holds, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Fair enough?
Sounds good, man. You have a great day.
Thank you very much. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. I hope you got a little bit tidbit out of there. Again, let me remind you that we are having a virtual Ask Phillip Anything coming up this Saturday. I think it's going to be 10 o'clock. I haven't put that all together on my calendar yet, but look for that. If you are interested, please like and share our page on Facebook. You'll get notified through there. And if you're on my email list, you will get an email. Have a great day. I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow.